guys, my name is Vuvu. Thank you for joining me for this segment of Tea with Vee. If you are new on here, please consider pressing the red subscribe button down below and joining the Vuvu Vena family. And if you're somebody who's been hopping on and has already clicked that button, welcome to the family and thank you for joining me once again. So on today's segment, I'm really only going to be talking about the issue of timing, right? It is something that has been playing in my head for a very long time, and it is something that applies to different spheres of our existence. So today I have coffee instead of tea, so these things will be changed up, guys, depending on the mood, right? I felt like coffee today, the next day I might feel like water, juice, wine, whiskey, you know, it just depends. But it still remains Tea with Vee, okay? Because I think more than anything, the tea is just little pearls, wisdom, if you will call it, and how lives and how we can navigate the lifing of life, if you get what I'm trying to say. So today I am definitely talking about the timing thing in whatever sphere it might show up in your specific life. So for some people it's got to do with looking for the perfect job or the ideal job that speaks to whatever career moves that they want to make. It might just be simply just looking for a job, they are unemployed. It might be waiting for the time where you want to be a mom, be a wife. You might be waiting to blow up on YouTube, on TikTok. You might be waiting on something and it feels like the waiting is really taking its toll on you. So this is what this conversation is about, right? It's just about how we keep giving ourselves grace during that time, but we also keep faith alive, right? And it's easier said than done, trust me, because I have been patient on a lot of areas in my life. But when that moment has come through, because it eventually does, hey, and when that moment has come through, I have completely understood what the wait was about. So for example, I recently got a new job. I think that this is the area that I have been wanting to be in for a very long time. I want to say in forever, for a very long time. But in the interim, I had to get myself in positions in which I could become the person that would be ideal for that position, if you hear what I'm trying to say. And I'm saying this is in retrospect, so I'm very mindful that when you are in that desert, when you are walking through that season in your life, sometimes the end picture or the bigger picture is not as clear. But sitting here, I know one thing about myself, that throughout that journey I never doubted the fact that this day would come. And whatever else it is that I am hoping for and I'm holding dear in my heart, that I'm praying over, that I'm watering, I never truly have any doubt. I might have bad days, if you hear what I'm trying to say, but I never ever have doubt that this thing that is burning within me will come to fruition. That's just how I've operated with the things that I've desired, that I've really longed for within me. Like I'm saying, probably the bad days will come more than the good days. Probably while you are in the wilderness, while you are trying to navigate from point A to point B, which is where you'd like yourself to be, there will be things that are happening in between. There will be people that you will meet in between during that journey that might be discouraging on you, and you need to truly equip yourself with that faith, with that belief that no matter what this day looks like, I know that I am on a journey. So I'm just passing through this particular day to end up on the day that I have promised myself, without any arm twisting, without any convincing, without any persuasion, that this is the thing that I desire for myself. This is where I see myself. So currently there is something that I am longing for with all my heart, and there are days that this thing, right, it requires for me to put in a certain amount of energy, put in a certain amount of work. And there are days, more than I want to even say 90% of the time, I don't want to do the work. I really don't want to do the work. This is also true for when I was looking for a job. There were days where I really actually could not care to put in the application, to check my CV, to see if there's anything on LinkedIn or to network with it. I just couldn't care. Okay, I had gotten to a point where I was like, nah chat, no fam, not for me, thank you very much. In this current period, I'm just not feeling it. And I will not lie to you, on those days I did not do it. Okay, so there's two things that I want to touch on that have been true to me. Is that the energy that accompanies your doing of something is an energy that propels how that thing is received. I don't know if you hear what I'm trying to say. So I often say on my bookish channel, as well as on here, whenever I've had the chance to speak about it, that I don't like picking up the camera when I don't feel like picking up the camera, because I feel like that will translate to the person on the other end watching me, seeing the fact that, okay, well, not today, you just thought that you would just do this and get it out of the way. And I don't like that, and I don't like consuming content of that nature. And in as much as I would love to share more content, and I have these ideas that I could probably execute with a subpar passion, I don't want to do that. And I don't, because I have this understanding that it's kind of like cooking, right? If you're forced into it, it shows up in your meal, right? Your meal does not come out and reflect the best of your abilities in the kitchen. So it's the same thing. Even when you're applying, the energy that you put into that application is what the energy that the person on the other end is going to receive. If you are half-heartedly doing anything, the reception will be reflective of the fact that whatever you have done, you have not put your whole heart into it, right? That's the one thing that I have learned throughout this process. But the second thing is kind of, if you want to say, in contrast to what I'm saying currently, and it's also the truth, that if you do not apply, you will not get the job, right? It applies to everything else that you might be waiting on, right? It is a I don't want to say algorithm thing, but it is a very scientific thing that in order to get the job, you will miss a lot along the way, but in order to get the one that you want, or to get the one, you have to keep applying. So it's kind of this catch-22 situation, a situation where you have to kind of strike the balance, have to be honest with yourself, have to pour into yourself, so that maybe on most days you actually have the energy to do the actual application. But it is something that has to be done in order for you to receive. It's kind of like you wanting to lose weight, not feeling in the mood to go into the gym. You have to find ways in which you will pour into yourself so that you are in the mood to go to the gym in order to burn those calories. However, if you do not go to the gym, the calories don't get burned. If you hear what I'm trying to say, right? But at the same time, if you go to the gym when you don't feel like it, you won't feel any better coming out of there. If your energy is that strong, the negative part of your energy is that strong, because you'll just go to the gym, stroll on the treadmill, come back, not break a sweat, not get the endorphins that you might have gotten had you had the energy for it. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? So I'm in a season where I'm trying to balance those two things within me in the things that I am waiting on. So for me also, timing is about waiting. It's a waiting on, it's a teaching, if you get what I'm trying to say, on patience and many other virtues, in the sense that while you are waiting on this thing, who are you becoming? And the real test here is that you need to craft yourself into the person that is deserving of the thing that you are yearning for or you are waiting on. So while waiting, are you becoming, as I was explaining with my job situation, is that I knew where I wanted to be, and I'm still not exactly where I want to be, but I have gotten to a point where I know that there are steps leading to the top, right? So if I am careful in stepping on the right step as I'm going along, I know that by the time that that opportunity, which is the bigger picture, actually falls on my lap, I will have been preparing for it. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely understand that it is not applicable to all things. You can not always prepare for the thing that you want all the time, but you do have to put in the work. You do have to become the person that is worthy, whether it is an emotional or a mental or a physical worthiness, but you have to put in the work so that when that opportunity comes, there is no way that it can miss you. So I kind of like shifted careers, right? And in knowing where I wanted to be, I knew that I would have to build this new brand to becoming who I want to be. So I was intentional in where I would place myself, but it was not just on the career front, it was also on my spare time, on my hobbies. I fed into the beast of what it is that I want to become in my free time without any compensation, right? And in doing that, I also, whatever I learned, I poured into other people who were curious about the same thing, because ultimately, if we're being honest, that is how you learn. I think it's Robin Sharma who says teacher learns most, or teacher learns best. I think this is one of his quotes, in the sense that for you to truly know that you know something, you should be able to translate it to somebody else without any difficulty, without having to refer to something else, without you having to check yourself. That's when you know that, you know what, I have graduated from being a novice in this thing. I absolutely know what it is that I'm talking about. And the person that you're translating it to, I always believe, has to find it useful. If they were curious about this, has to find it useful, has to see the value in this thing that you have imparted to them. So for me, it is a passion of mine to share the things that I know, right? And I know that when I am very excited about a thing, I might be an oversharer. So I do tend to, you know, give it a little bit, spread it around to whoever might be curious about certain parts of it, but I don't give it all to the same person, if you hear what I'm trying to say. But what I'm getting at is that you definitely have to be intentional about becoming the person that is worthy of this thing. It's kind of like sport, right? Let me take it there. I know nothing about sport, but this analogy just came to my head. It's kind of like when you are training for a race, or when you want to win the Comrades, right? The bigger picture is that you want to win a marathon. The Comrades marathon is what came to mind. But you will not win that marathon if you do not train. Because the thing is, you are not the only person trying to win that marathon. You are not the only person trying to get that job. You are not the only person trying to blow up on YouTube, on TikTok, right? So the work that you put in to get into your bigger picture determines what the timing looks like when it lands on your lap, if you hear what I'm trying to say. So if you do your training, if you follow a certain regimen, if you do what it is that you need to do, you will get to as close to, if not to the actual finish line, as a champion at the end of it, if you hear what I'm trying to say. So you definitely have to sharpen your sword. You definitely have to train for the thing that you are desiring. And you might not win this Comrades, you might not win the next Comrades, but if you keep the discipline, if you keep the passion, if you keep the understanding that by bettering yourself you get closer to where you're trying to go, then definitely one day when the timing is right, it will land on your lap. When you have, and I truly believe for myself that that timing is definitely linked to you have become the person you needed to be in order to acquire the thing that you have received. So sometimes though, in the waiting, in the trying to get there, it feels like, come on, really, am I not there yet? Am I not this person? Have I not proven myself? And you have to have the honest discussions with yourself. This is why I'm always championing for any form of journaling, because I feel like that's the best form for me to introspect, where I have those hard discussions with myself, where I have those hard conversations with myself, where I am able to say to myself, listen, you have dropped the ball on this, dropped the ball on that. Let's do a plan of action. Let's look into doing this a little bit more. Let's look into investigating this. If you were looking for this job and they asked you about this aspect of this arena that you're trying to get into, what would you say? Do you know enough about this? Should you know enough about this? If you should and you don't, what are you doing about it? And it doesn't always have to cost anything, right? Sometimes you find people, like I'm saying, who are willing to share and inform and educate without any charge to you. So what is it that you are doing to make sure that you know what you need to know? Are you, for example, if part of it is, are you networking enough? No, you are sitting at home, closing yourself behind closed doors, not meeting up with anybody for no particular reason, and yet you want to know people in this industry, you want to be known in this industry, but how? So are you doing the things that are necessary for you to be able to be put in a certain position, for you to be able to be worthy of acquiring this thing that you desire? Things don't just come and land on your lap, right? There is some work that needs to be done, that needs to be put into it. And sometimes, like I'm saying, you are not always aware of the work that is happening while it is happening. However, when you do become the person you sit back and you look back and you say, had I not done this, had I not done that, had I not made this move, had I not met this person, had I not gone online on that day because it was part of the things that I told myself I would do that day, I might not have come across this advert, I might not. So you are becoming in the journey to waiting and trusting that the timing will align. And for me, I feel when you start seeing, so this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about, is that the minute you start seeing other people getting the things that they want, and sometimes the things that they want may be very similar to what you want, you do start having those conflicting emotions. If you're human, you have to be honest with that part of who you are. You do start having those conflicting emotions within you about, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting and they are getting? I've been doing this, they probably haven't been doing this. As far as you can see with your naked eye, they didn't do this. They, let's say for example, back to the Conference Marathon, they hardly trained. I trained 30 hours a week, they didn't even do 2 hours. Maybe their genetics allow, maybe this. But what I'm trying to say with this is that, with even this hand gesture, is that try not to focus on everything else around you. You must trust from the minute of the idea being conceived in your head, that if this desire lights you up, if this desire is as strong as you think it is, if it keeps you up at night, if during the day it's something that just stays with you, then you have to trust that your process is your process. You will get there at your own timing. Your design is your design. Your genetics are your genetics. You cannot force what somebody else has gotten onto you, because you don't know what they went through, just like nobody will know what you went through to acquire what you have acquired. So trust yourself, trust your own, the cards, play the cards that you have been dealt. Basically, long and short of it, play the card that you have been dealt, and don't peek around, don't try and see what Vuvu has, what the next person has. Play the cards that you have been dealt and play them to the best of your ability and watch what happens. And I think that definitely this Tea with Vee was a little bit preachy, but it is something that I'm very passionate about, and it is also something that I felt like I needed to remind myself of. More than anything, more than being preachy, I really did need to get to a point where I spoke this out, right? Because there's also the power of the tongue, of words, of reminders to yourself that I'm doing this for you as much as I'm doing it for myself. And having the ability to hear yourself say things that are life-giving in the midst of no one. Okay, you guys are there, but there's no one here, is also something that is also part of the journey. The things that you think, the things that you listen to in terms of about yourself and about the specific journey, and the things that you take as truth and sow into your hearts, whether they are conflicting or whether they are watering that seed. You need to be very aware, because when they are done right, they have the ability to spur you on onto the next level. Otherwise, that's all from me for this Tea with Vee. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any further tips, tricks, or information around being graceful in the period of waiting, allowing yourself some softness, right, creating a soft landing for yourself, but also trusting completely without doubt, no matter what the present situation might be, that you will get to the places that you desire to get to, do share those in the comment section down below, and let the rest of the family know what it is that you do to make sure that you stay within that frequency of that specific request or prayer, if you want to call it that, while you're waiting. Thank you for joining me, and I really truly do love you guys for choosing me. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here, so thank you so very much. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye now.